Okay, in this video I'm continuing ahead with the very first drawing exercise as an example. We've already defined our cutting plane line here, as you can see, and we put that in paper space. Now the arrows are pointing down, whereas the example in your book, the arrows are pointing up. And the reason why is because in the directions in Angel, I requested a top view in section. Well, to get a top view in section, that means that our arrows are going to have to be pointing down, because the rule is that the section view goes basically opposite the way the arrows are pointing, so, or behind the arrows, you can think of like that. So I gave you a top view to start off with that you can use. Okay, the arrows also let us know that when I cut my 3D model that we looked at, that I basically want to keep the part on the side that the arrows are pointing. Okay, I want to keep this half of the part. Okay, also notice that the cutting plane line goes directly through the center of this circle, or the hole. Okay, so that's also important by the way we look at our model. Now I'm going to go back to that 3D model, and I'm going to cut it along the XZ plane. Okay, and by default some things magically happen here. Okay, this won't always be the case. It kept the half of the part that we want to keep. Okay, and we kept the bottom half. Okay, you can see that here. Okay, that's this portion in the 2D view. So that was nice. Okay, we didn't have to flip it over. And also the plane cuts directly through the center of this hole, just as was shown here. Okay, so remember from the previous video, if you haven't watched it, you can manipulate these planes to kind of move them around and place them where you need to. And if you mess up, you can also delete them. If you haven't watched that video, definitely go back and watch it. Now, I just want to remind you that once you locate the plane, just left click out here in space, and it'll make it permanent. Now, you won't always be able to get the planes where you want them. Okay, this is a full section view. Very easy for Autodesk Design Review to do this. There's no special rules. There's no nothing that it shouldn't section or anything like that. So this is a very easy, simple example that works very well to show you how to manipulate the model. So now that I've defined the part, I want to go to rotate this around the top. Okay, so that is basically what our top view looks like here. Now I'm going to switch to model space. The big difference is that this, of course, won't have any hidden lines, okay, like you see in the 2D model. Okay, that's because we've cut into the model to eliminate these hidden lines, and hence the purpose of a sectional view. The sectional view is to provide clarity that's not there with a regular view. Okay, and remember, the purpose of drawings in general, you're trying to convey information to someone that may be building or fabricating your part, or may just need to understand it. So if you have a lot of hidden lines, then the hidden lines can cause a lot of confusion. Okay, because you don't know how deep into the part these hidden lines are. Sometimes they could be at this elevation, they could be at this elevation. So basically, if you get a situation, you as the drafter need to make sure that your views show the information that needs to be shown. Okay, and sometimes a sectional view will help to promote clarity. Okay, but basically we're going to create this section view here, and if I go to the 3D model, you'll realize that every hidden line that's shown in the 2D drawing is now a visible line. Okay, they're not hidden anymore. Okay, also the gray area here is what needs to be sectioned. As you saw in the text, you add section lining to areas that are cut by the cutting plane line. Okay, so we're going to go into our 2D model. This is going to be very easy. I'm just going to select all these hidden lines in model space, and I'm just going to simply switch those to the visible layer. Okay, keep in mind, this is a simple example. This will not always be, how things will work, but very first thing, you should see if you can just switch hidden lines to the visible lines. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Okay, so we've done that now, and now we want to add sectioning. Okay, so you need to add your section layer if you haven't already. The parameters are in Angel. So I'm going to make that my current layer. and then I'm going to add hatching. All I need to do is type in H, enter, and sometimes this may take a minute. For some reason in AutoCAD this can be a little slow. Alright, now it wants me to pick points. Okay, so I want to click here and here, and then enter. Okay, so I go back over to paper space, and my section lining is showing up as it should, and it looks kind of like this. Okay, so you think you would be happy, but the thing is that the distance between the lines should display at 1/8 of an inch. Okay, that is a very tight grid, and that is not 1/8 of an inch. If I were to draw a line in paper space and just kind of get an idea of what that's displaying as, is 0.0316, okay, which is not correct. Now, as far as AutoCAD goes, hatching has a scale. Okay, and if you click on the hatching, you go to the hatch editor screen, and all scales start off with a scale of 1. But the scale should actually be the reciprocal of the viewport scale. Okay, remember, a reciprocal is basically a fraction that's flipped over. Okay, so our viewport scale is 1/4. Okay, or 1/4, or 1/4, however you want to say it. So if I were to flip the fraction 1/4 over, it would just be 4/1, or 4. Okay, so if I go in and click on the hatch, and then change this hatch pattern scale to 4, okay, you can see that it makes the scale larger. And then if I go over and look here and draw the same line that I did before, this should be pretty close to 1/8 of an inch now. Okay, and you can see in Properties Palette it is. Alright, there's another way to do this. Okay, let me go into Model Space and erase the hatch. And if you're in paper space, remember you have a viewport here. Okay, if you double click inside the viewport, you're in what is called floating model space. Basically, I can make changes to model space through paper space. I'm working through the window, and if I want to add my hatch in my floating viewport, I can add it right here. Okay, but before I exit the command, if I go under properties here, I can select relative to paper space, and it makes the correction to the hatch scaling based on the viewport scale automatically. Okay, and so you don't have to do the reciprocal of it, does it for you. Okay, that's one of the nice features about AutoCAD. It knows the standards, so it just basically makes the calculations based on the viewport scale, just like we manually did to start off with. Okay, so now our hatching is showing up as it should. So this is what you would actually submit on the first exercise: the section plane line, the section lining, all the hidden lines here returned to visible lines. So this is the complete top view and section for the first exercise. So hopefully this will give you some ideas of how to get going on the rest of the exercises, and that concludes this video.